Is the right to vote guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution? Find out in this week's episode of Internet Expert. Welcome to Internet Expert, the game where you and your laptop can save democracy. I'm Malik Mercier, and this week we're talking about voter suppression. Congressman John Lewis said, quote, "The vote is the most powerful nonviolent change agent you have in a democratic society. You must use it because it is not guaranteed. You can lose it," end quote. The U.S. Constitution does not guarantee the right to vote, which means that the states have a lot of power over how and when voting happens and who gets to exercise the right. Today, we're going to find out why. Let's meet our contestants. Myles, you're up first. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm the host, and I also produce on a web series called Above the Noise with PBS Digital Studios and KQED here in the Bay Area. I've been doing it for a few years, and I'm excited to be here and participate today.
That's so awesome. I really enjoy your show, so I'm super excited to have you here. We also have Jackson here, who is a YouTuber and content creator, a writer as well in New York. Tell me more about you.
Hello, yeah, thank you so much, Malik. Thanks for having me. As you said, I'm a YouTuber, writer, podcaster, all of the internet things, and most of my work revolves around transgender education and advocacy.
Myles, you're in Oakland, and Jackson, you're in New York, so we have a little East versus West rivalry on our hands today. Myles, what does Jackson have to do if you win?
I just need Jackson to sing a song about how great Above the Noise is. I just need like a shameless self-promotion. So just sing Above the Noise. I'm gonna do a jingle for you. Yeah, exactly. I just need a jingle that tells me how great our web series is.
Oh, man.
That is a really big bet. Jackson, what does Myles have to do if you win?
I thought with the East Coast, West Coast thing we got going on that Myles should throw down a few bars a cappella of Empire State of Mind.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh. might have to listen to it beforehand.
Right, yeah. I can just sing the chorus for you, like really pitchy and off key.
Yeah, the jingle for you is going to be super pitchy and off key as well.
For sure.
I am super excited to see how this turns out, so let's start the game. Your first challenge is called the Road to Suffrage. Here's a timeline of key voting rights events that is out of order. Using the Library of Congress Civil Rights Legal Timeline, put them in chronological order. Ready? Go.
All right.
Okay. Let's see
I've
here.
definitely been following some of this lately, but I couldn't do it off the top of my head.
I feel like I'm going to be singing Empire State of Mind. I don't know.
I think I got it.
Oh, I'm so slow.
What's your answer?
All right, so 1870 is the 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, granting African American men the right to vote. 1875, Minor versus Happersett in Missouri held that a state could constitutionally prevent a woman from voting. 1913, Gwynn versus the United States in Oklahoma deemed that state constitutional provisions permitting grandfather clauses for passing literacy tests as a voting requirement were unconstitutional. And then 1920 was the 19th Amendment to the Constitution ratifying and granting women the right to vote. 1965, the Voting Rights Act passes. And then in 2013 was Shelby County versus Holder, which invalidated Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act.
You got it, Jackson. Nice. To understand voter suppression in the U.S., it's important that we understand the history behind it. As states adopted their own constitutions, they each made rules about who could vote, how they could vote, and when. As a result of years of advocacy, a series of laws, and Supreme Court rulings, the right to vote has been expanded to every citizen, but there are still mechanisms that are used and created to control the exercise of that right. That's a point for Jackson. The score is 1-0. The next challenge is called Overturned. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 was landmark legislation that implemented federal protections for individual voting rights by prohibiting things like literacy tests and proof of moral character as requirements to vote. In 2013, the Supreme Court removed some of those protections in the decision Shelby County versus Holder. For this challenge, I want you to go to the text of the Supreme Court's decision and fill in the blanks in the following 3 statements. Here we go. Number 1. Quote, "In those covered jurisdictions, Section 5 of the Act provides that no change in voting procedures can take effect until approved by specified federal authorities in Washington, D.C. Such approval is known as blank."
Oh, I think I found it. I think it's pre-clearance.
That's it. Pre-clearance is the process of having the Justice Department review changes to election laws in jurisdictions with a history of voter suppression and racial discrimination in elections. Here's your second quote. Our country has changed, and while any racial discrimination in voting is too much, Congress must ensure that the legislation it passes to remedy that problem speaks to current conditions. The judgment of the Court of Appeals is blank.
This one's not, on the first page.
For Above the Noise, so many times it's like you get weeks at a time to do this type of research, We get a little pitch meeting, you get a review session where you can go back and forth with your colleagues. I gotta sing a song at the end of this. There's a lot of pressure. I think I got it.
I'm ready to hear it. Go ahead.
Is the answer reversed?
You're right. One of the reasons the court threw out the federal review process is because the majority felt it was based on outdated conditions. That means, Myles, you're on the board with your first point, and Jackson, you're in the lead at 2-1.
I had to get on the board.
Here's your last quote. Throwing out preclearance when it has worked and is continuing to work to stop discriminatory changes is like blank.
I think I got it.
Go ahead.
Okay, the whole quote is throwing out preclearance when it has worked is continuing to work. What I say? Oh, throwing away your umbrella in a rainstorm because you are not getting wet.
Yes, that's a famous line from Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's dissent in the case. Her point was that the federal review process worked to prevent voter suppression in current conditions, but it only worked because it's in place. Your next challenge is called Block the Vote. Of the many types of voting restrictions, 4 are most prevalent: voter ID laws, voter registration restrictions, felony disenfranchisement, and voter purges. I'm going to give you a series of links, and I want you to find some specific information on each site. The first person to find each one gets a point. Number 1, visit the National Conference of State Legislatures website and find Tennessee's voter ID requirements.
Okay.
I think I have it. So they have strict photo ID. If ID is not presented, the voter votes on a provisional ballot and must return within 2 days to show an ID or sign an affidavit attesting to indigence or a religious objection.
That's it. Voter ID laws are a very common way of restricting who can cast votes. As of April 2020, 34 states have voter identification requirements. Next item. Using the ACLU's felony disenfranchisement map, tell me which states allow everyone to vote, regardless of conviction history.
Ooh, that should be a good one.
Oh, this map has lots of different colors on it. These laws are more complicated than I thought. It's not just yes or no.
I think I got it. Vermont and Maine?
Yes, Vermont and Maine allow every citizen to vote, even if they're incarcerated or have a felony conviction. As of 2016, nearly 6.1 million Americans couldn't vote because of a felony conviction, and Black Americans of voting age are more than 4 times as likely to lose their voting rights than the rest of the adult population. Item 3. Using the Brennan Center's interactive map, find out what voter registration requirement Kansas implemented in 2016.
Oh, wait, I think... no. I found it, yeah.
I'm almost there. All right.
So new restrictions in place for the first time in 2016. That would be documentary proof of citizenship required to register using the state registration form.
You got it. This is an example of a registration restriction, adding more hoops for people to jump through in order to exercise their right to vote. A federal court struck down the law in 2018, and the state is appealing. Final item. Go to the Brennan Center's report on voter purges and find out the number of voters removed from rolls across the country from 2014 to 2016.
Find the number of voters removed from rolls around the country between 2014 and 2016, you say?
Oh, I got it.
Oh, dang it, go.
16 million.
Correct. Purging is the process of deleting names from voter registration lists with the goal of removing people who no longer vote in the district. The process is often flawed, removing eligible voters from the rolls, which prevents them from casting a ballot that counts. For the next challenge, we're going to find out about a new form of voter suppression. Here to help is GBH News reporter Soraya Wintersmith. Hi, Soraya.
Hi, Malik.
So you have covered a lot of tough stories in 2020. What keeps you going?
Yeah, it sounds really simple, but I think I really just believe in the work of journalism. We hold people accountable, we inform people, and sometimes it's something small, like who was littering or doing something petty, and sometimes it's something big.
That also keeps me going. You never know what positive change can come out of journalism.
This next challenge is called Pushing the Envelope. The COVID-19 pandemic makes in-person voting a health risk, and a number of states are expanding mail-in voting so people can vote safely from home. At the same time, the Trump administration is scaling back the U.S. Postal Service's capacity to process and deliver mail, which means mail-in ballots maybe aren't delivered in time for the election. I want you to go to a recent story I wrote about the United States Postal Service and find out what the acronym DBCS means. Then, look at this internal U.S. Postal Service memo from May 15th, titled Equipment Reduction. Find out which region is losing the most DBCS machines by percentage. Ready? Go.
Thank you so much. First, the acronym.
Okay, I got the first part of it. This is a very tough to read table here.
I think I got it. So the acronym, delivery bar code sorter, and then which region is losing? I see the region would be the southern region.
Sorry, Myles, that's not right.
Oh no, I have a different guess, but I'm scared too.
We have nothing to lose at this point. Go.
Western?
That's right.
Oh.
As of May 15th, the U.S. Postal Service planned to remove 21.2% of the Western region's delivery barcode sorter machines. Other regions are slated to lose between 18 and 20% of their machines. These things cost millions of dollars, and removing them limits the United States Postal Service's ability to deliver the mail on time.
Wow.
Soraya, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for inviting me.
Jackson, that means you get the point and are in the lead. The score is now 5-4.
That is close though. I don't feel comfortable with that lead.
Here's your final challenge. This challenge is called Back to the Future. As we learned earlier, the right to vote isn't guaranteed by the Constitution, and since the Supreme Court struck down some protections in the Voting Rights Act, the federal government has little authority to enforce equal voting rights. Late Representative John Lewis sought to change this with the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. Go to congress.gov and find the full official title of the Senate bill.
I think I could do this. This is a part of the learning process. What is going on this Congress site? Do I just not know how to navigate it? Is that what's happening right now?
The government is not known for having the most intuitive websites.
Yeah, I'm like, I like to think that I'm informed, and then I see all these letters and numbers, and I'm just like, all right, welp.
I do not make the website.
This Congress site is frustrating me at this point.
Well, I'll go ahead and give it a shot. Okay, I think the official title is A Bill to Amend the Voting Rights Act of 1965 to revise the criteria for determining which states and political subdivisions are subject to Section 4 of the Act and for other purposes.
That sounds right.
Yes, that is right.
That took way too long for me to find, too. Like, what?
The VRAA would address current voting rights concerns and make them adaptable for the future. So far, the House has passed the bill, but the Senate has declined to take it up. Jackson with 6 points. You are today's internet expert. Congratulations. How does it feel?
Oh, man. I'm just real glad that I don't have to come up with a song off the top. Because this has been like so much to think about and follow. I didn't have any spare time to be coming up with lyrics in the background.
Myles, you had a great showing with 4 points, but you are going to have to sing your heart out to Jackson. Let's hear it.
All right, you might want to turn your headphones down, turn your speakers down a little bit. In New York, somewhere dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York.
Amazing.
That makes my day and makes you a winner in my eyes. Congrats to the both of you, and thank you so much for playing.
Oh man, this was fun. I really appreciate this.
One final question for you all. Have you ever seen or experienced voter suppression? Share your story with us in the comments and check out the description for resources on what you can do if you ever see or experience voter suppression in action.